Hi, Matt Toms here with another OneChart lesson. Today we're looking at Peer Pressure by James Bay. I'm going to take you through the entire song in its different patterns and little variations, and you'll be able to follow it all the way through on your OneChart. It is easiest to play on the 2nd fret capo, so we're going to put a capo on our 2nd fret, and then throughout the entire song we're going to hang on this 3rd fret of the B string. It's kind of like a drone that he uses all the way through the song. So we are picking that mostly with our 2nd finger. Now if you pick it with your 1st finger, it's fine. If you pick it with your 3rd finger or your pinky, it's absolutely fine. I'm using my 2nd finger because I find that the most comfortable, but you will find one of those fingers that works best for you. Because the actual pattern doesn't vary too much except for the bass note, which is what you do with your thumb, it doesn't really matter which finger on your strumming hand you use to pick that B string with. So we're going to start off with our 3rd finger on that B string 3rd fret, because that is one of the easiest fingers to allow your other fingers to move around the bass notes. And we're going to start with the open D string and alternate between the bass note and the B string note. And we're just going to go back and forth in 16th notes, 1 E and A, 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. Okay? The intro starts with 2 notes on the bass string, and I find the easiest way to count through these kind of patterns when you've got 16th notes, so you've got 16 of these notes in a bar. The easiest way to count through these patterns, like how many notes you play before you change root notes or bass notes or positions, it's quite often easiest to count it out with the notes you play on your thumb, because if you start counting all the 16th notes, you're doing a lot of counting, and the more you can simplify that, the better. So what we're doing is we're going 2 notes on the D string and always following it with the note on the B string. So 1 E and A. Then we go to the A string, play 2 notes on that. Then we put our 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, which we're going to call a B, even though we've got a capo on, so it's not technically a B, but for all intents and purposes, when you've got a capo on, that A string is your A, that E string is your E, and so on and so forth. So you kind of ignore the fact that there's a capo on there and call these your open strings and your 0 frets and your E, A, D, G, B, E. Just a little aside there. So from the start again, D, D, A, B, 2nd string A, 2nd fret A string, back to A. That's the 1st bar. So we've played 16 notes. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. 2nd bar we move to the G, so our 2nd finger is good to reach across there for the 3rd fret of the E string. Stay there for the whole bar, so it's all 16 notes. Then we move into the 1st verse. 1 bar on the D bass note, 5, 6, 7, 8 notes on the thumb. Then we go back to the B, then the G. So the B goes for 4 and the G goes for 4 thumb notes. Then we repeat those 2 bars. B, G, and then he goes back to the B note for a little sort of bar at the end of this verse, and he plays 4 thumb notes on the B. Then he lifts it off and plays 1 A note, and this is the one time, or one of maybe 2 times, where this note on the B string moves down to the 2nd fret. So we go from that entire last bar, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're playing open A string and 2nd fret B string. And then we move into the chorus, which goes back to our D string bass note, then the A, so 2 notes on the D, 2 notes on the A, 2 notes on the B, back to the A, next bar the G for the whole bar. It's kind of like the intro. D, D, A, B, B, A. Then we go G, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this time you end on the bass note. On the 5th G, you play in that bar, it ends there. You don't do another B string note. But I'll get into yours. And then back into the intro again, which is the same as the chorus. Now, at the end of this intro, the G bar ends slightly different. So we go 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E, and you end on the 4 E on the B string. Next verse, it's kind of the same as the first verse. We're back on the D for a whole bar. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you see when I'm counting the bass notes, I'm counting up to 8 in a bar. I'm counting the 8th notes if you like. When you count them all, there'll be 16. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A is 16. Counting the bass notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then onto the B, 1, 2, 3, 4. The G, 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeat those 2 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Onto the B, onto the G. Then a slight change comes in. We move through those repeat signs now and we go onto the D for 4. Then we go up to the 2nd fret E string, which is the 2nd fret D string, which is an E note. Then we move back over to the B, and then the G, and this time we end on 2 bass notes like this. So this is where all the heavy drums are, and we end that bar like that. So playing from the last 2 bars in that line, so just after the repeat sign on verse 2, we go D, 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 E, 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 B, 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 G, G. 2 notes with the thumb. Then we're into the chorus again. So they're the first 2 bars. Now, you'll notice with this chorus section, he does this chorus 3 times here. And the first 3 bars of the chorus are always the same, but on each chorus he ends it very slightly differently. So I've put those 3 different endings along the bottom line of your first page on your chart. The first ending is the first bar, so we end on the G. When we get to that, I'll start that chorus again so you can kind of get an idea of what this is. This is the chorus from the beginning. First ending, 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E. Back to the chorus. Second ending, 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3. Just ending on the 3 on the bass note. Back to the beginning of the chorus. Now we come to the third ending, 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. So he plays all the 16th notes the third time through, and then we go to the break, which is just simply playing the open D string and that B string 3rd fret together and holding it for the whole bar. Then we do the same with the B, but we hold it for only 2 beats, half a bar. And then we move again from that B string 3rd fret down to the 2nd fret and play the open A string and the B string 2nd fret. And then we're back to the chorus. 2 E and a 3, end on the 3 this time. We repeat that chorus again. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. Then we move into sort of the wind up of the song. It starts building up. It's following this same pattern again for the chorus. The ending of this last bar is a little bit different again. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. So that double bass note again to end that little section. And then we go into the coda, which is this last section. B, G, D, E, B, and then it stops. Stops on the third beat of that bar. 1 E and a 2 E and a stop. That's the end of the song. So it's a relatively straightforward pattern. There's just a couple of little variations. The tricky part is to kind of remember how you end those bars of G. But if you don't get it absolutely right, it's not the end of the world. It's a great song, fun, easy to play. Remember, capo on 2nd fret and everything becomes much, much easier. And enjoy playing that. Hope you had fun. Hope that was useful. Please come back to the OneChart website anytime you want. We're adding new songs all the time, and we'll see you there soon. Thanks again.